Kindness is not weakness. Too many make that mistake. Let's dive into the heart of the matter. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "There is no person so severely punished as those who subject themselves to the whip of their own remorse." To stop being overly kind and feel regretful about it, you need to first identify the signs of someone taking advantage of your kindness. According to the Stoics, one of the most prominent signs of an unbalanced relationship is the presence of one-sidedness. This is when you find yourself constantly giving, sacrificing, and bending over backwards, while the other party seems to be on the receiving end, rarely reciprocating your efforts. It's like being on a seesaw where you're always stuck on the ground, bearing the weight of the relationship. Another sign to watch out for is the frequent feeling of guilt. If you're constantly guilt-tripped into doing things you're not comfortable with, or if you feel guilty for not meeting unreasonable demands, then you're likely dealing with a person who is manipulating your kindness. The lack of appreciation is another red flag. If your acts of kindness are met with entitlement without a hint of gratitude, it's a clear sign of someone taking advantage. Remember, everyone deserves to be appreciated, and your kindness is no exception. Finally, pay attention to your energy levels. Relationships should be a source of joy, comfort, and energy. If you're consistently feeling drained, exhausted, and emotionally depleted after interacting with someone, it's time to reevaluate. Recognizing these signs is crucial for your emotional health and self-preservation. It's not about demonizing the other person, but rather about understanding your own worth. It's about realizing that you can be kind without being a pushover, that you can care for others without neglecting yourself. It's also important to note that recognizing these signs doesn't necessarily mean you should immediately cut ties. It's about setting boundaries, communicating your needs, and ensuring there's a balance of give and take in your relationships. Remember, the Stoics taught us the importance of self-control and personal responsibility. You have the power to control your actions and the responsibility to protect yourself from being taken advantage of. Remember, recognizing these signs is the first step towards reclaiming your power and preventing misuse of your kindness. Now that we have identified signs of unbalanced relationships, let's delve into the more subtle art of emotional manipulation. In the grand scheme of human interactions, emotional manipulation is an underhanded tactic often used by those who wish to control others. It's a form of social chess where the manipulator uses your kindness as a pawn in their game. They prey on your empathy, your compassion, your willingness to give them the benefit of the doubt, turning these virtues into vulnerabilities. Let's illustrate a few examples. The manipulator might play the victim, a role that invites your sympathy and clouds your judgment. They may use gaslighting, a technique where they deny or distort reality, causing you to question your own perceptions. They might use guilt as a weapon, making you feel bad for setting boundaries or expressing your own needs. This manipulation is not always obvious. It can be cloaked in expressions of concern, veiled compliments, or seemingly innocent requests. The key is to look for patterns. If you often feel confused, guilty, or drained after interactions with a person, you may be dealing with an emotional manipulator. Recognizing these behaviors is the first step to protect yourself. Remember, Stoicism teaches us it's not your responsibility to fix someone else's problems or fulfill their unreasonable demands. You are not obliged to sacrifice your peace of mind for the sake of someone else's comfort. Knowledge is power. By understanding emotional manipulation, you can better discern when your kindness is being taken advantage of. It's crucial to remember that kindness is not about appeasing others at your own expense. It's about showing genuine care and respect, both for yourself and others. So how do we respond to emotional manipulation? It begins with setting clear boundaries, asserting your rights, and validating your own feelings. It's about reclaiming your kindness from those who misuse it and redirecting it towards those who truly deserve and appreciate it. Being aware of emotional manipulation is necessary to ensure that your kindness is appreciated, not exploited. Let's continue this Stoic journey towards self-awareness and resilience. Having understood the signs of exploitation, let's shift gears and explore the Stoic philosophy's approach to kindness. Stoicism, a philosophy rooted in ancient Greece and Rome, places a great deal of emphasis on rationality and self-control. It teaches us to maintain tranquility and inner peace regardless of external circumstances, emphasizing the importance of understanding what we can and can't control. Now, how does kindness fit into this philosophy? Stoicism views kindness as a virtue, akin to wisdom, courage, and justice. It encourages us to be kind to others, but not at the expense of our well-being. The Stoics believed that true kindness is rational and measured. It is not about self-sacrifice to the point of self-destruction. Instead, it is about maintaining a balance, offering help and support when we can, but not allowing ourselves to be exploited or taken advantage of. Seneca once said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." However, he also cautioned against being overly generous, stating, "He who gives too much will have nothing left for himself." This encapsulates the Stoic approach to kindness, a balance between helping others and preserving oneself. In the Stoic view, kindness is not a sign of weakness. On the contrary, it is a sign of strength. It takes courage to be kind, to extend a helping hand, to show compassion. But it also takes wisdom to know when to pull back, to protect oneself from exploitation, to recognize when kindness is being mistaken for weakness. The Stoics urged us to be like the oak tree, strong and unyielding, yet providing shade and shelter to those in need. But remember, even the oak tree does not allow itself to be stripped bare. It retains its leaves to protect itself, just as we must protect our well-being. So let us strive to be kind, but let us also strive to be wise, to understand when to give and when to hold back. To recognize the difference between genuine need and manipulation. As the Stoics believed, kindness is a virtue, but it should not lead to self-neglect. With the Stoic philosophy in mind, let's explore practical steps to prevent over-kindness. Stoicism teaches us that the only things truly within our control are our own thoughts and actions. With that in mind, one of the most effective practices to curb over-kindness is focusing on self-improvement. Instead of pouring all your energy into others, channel some of it into your own growth and development. This doesn't mean becoming self-centered, but rather self-aware. As the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Setting boundaries is another crucial Stoic practice. This could mean deciding how much time you're willing to give to others or what kind of behavior you're willing to tolerate. Remember, your time and energy are precious resources, and it's up to you to decide how they're spent. As Marcus Aurelius, another renowned Stoic philosopher, put it, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Practicing assertiveness is another way to prevent overkindness. This involves expressing your needs and wants clearly and respectfully, without infringing on the rights of others. This might be challenging, especially if you are used to putting others first, but it's an essential skill that can be developed with practice. Finally, it's important to learn to say no. This might sound simple, but it's often one of the hardest things to do. Remember, saying no to something means saying yes to something else, perhaps something that serves your well-being better. Prioritizing self-care is a must. This doesn't mean indulging in mindless pleasures, but taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental health. Whether it's taking a walk in nature, journaling your thoughts, or simply getting enough sleep, self-care is a way of respecting and honoring yourself. Remember, the key to preventing overkindness is to prioritize your well-being and set clear boundaries. As Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable." Building on Stoic practices, let's discuss how to cultivate inner strength and resilience. Inner strength, much like a muscle, requires regular exercise and nourishment. It is a fundamental aspect of our character that allows us to maintain our boundaries and ensure our kindness is not exploited. One way to build this inner strength is through self-reflection. This is not merely an act of introspection. It is an active process where we examine our actions, our motivations, and the effects they have on those around us. Self-reflection allows us to understand our own value and assert it in our interactions with others. Next, we have mindfulness. Mindfulness is being present in the moment, not lost in past regrets or future anxieties. It equips us to respond rather than react to situations. By being mindful, we can observe our feelings of overkindness without judgment, understanding them as part of our human experience, but not letting them dictate our actions. Resilience training is another key aspect of cultivating inner strength. Resilience is not about avoiding hardships, but embracing them as opportunities for growth. It's about standing firm in the face of adversity and bouncing back from setbacks. The Stoics believed that adversity is not what happens to us, but how we respond to it. By adopting this mindset, we can turn challenges into stepping stones towards greater inner strength. Lastly, let's not forget the power of practice. Building inner strength is not a one-time event, but a continuous journey. It requires consistent effort and patience. But remember, as the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, no great thing is created suddenly, so persevere. In conclusion, inner strength is the backbone of balanced kindness. It allows us to be kind without compromising our self-respect. It empowers us to give, not out of obligation, but from a place of genuine compassion, and it ensures that our acts of kindness are not signs of weakness, but expressions of strength. Cultivating inner strength is crucial to ensure that your kindness is not taken for granted. As we draw to a close, let's reflect on the key takeaways from our discussion. From the outset, we dove into the murky waters of unbalanced relationships, recognizing the signs of exploitation disguised as kindness. We learned that it's not about ceasing to be kind, but rather about being mindful of when our kindness is being taken for granted. We then journeyed into the realm of emotional manipulation. It's a slippery slope indeed, but with awareness we can navigate through it. We learned that it's crucial to understand when our emotions are being played with, to protect our peace and prevent our kindness from turning into a weakness. From there, we ventured into the wisdom of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics, wise as they were, taught us that kindness isn't about pleasing others at our own expense. They reminded us that true kindness is a virtue that comes from a place of strength, not weakness. We then explored practical Stoic practices to stop being overly kind. We learned that setting boundaries, practicing self-care, and prioritizing our own needs aren't selfish acts. They're necessary for maintaining our mental and emotional well-being. We discovered that it's okay to say no when we need to, and that doing so doesn't make us any less kind. Next, we delved into the cultivation of inner strength. We acknowledged that strength isn't just physical, but also mental and emotional. We learned that by nurturing our inner strength, we can stand our ground when our kindness is taken for granted without losing our inherent kindness. Throughout this journey, we've learned that being kind doesn't mean being weak or submissive. Kindness is a virtue, a strength, and a sign of emotional intelligence. It's about respecting others, but also respecting ourselves. It's about giving, but not to the point of self-depletion. Remember, kindness is not weakness. Don't let anyone take it for granted. Stand strong, be kind, but never at the expense of your well-being.